Now this is what I call a proper fucking build. It's killing 10 million HP bosses in less than half a second. It's covering entire screens in projectiles. It's insanely tanky. And the best part, it's viable on a low budget. Yep, all the things I've just mentioned I've done with just a few divines of investment. And you can level with the build as well. So let's check out how it works and get you online ASAP. And first things first, I'm playing an Oracle for the Giga damage. You can, however, absolutely play this on a martial artist monk as well. I'll link J-Max version, where he's utilizing whirling slash for movement and using a freeze setup for tankiness. It's dealing less damage than an Oracle, but it has some extra speed and tankiness. Alright, but first for the interactions that work for both builds, and that is firstly how Oil Barrage works. This skill is shit. All it does is shoot out oil ground that deals a small amount of damage. So what actually does damage then? Well, that's the empowered version. By utilizing power charges, the skill is infinitely channelable and deals proper damage. But here's the great part. This channeling snapshots, meaning if we slot in salvo, then we will snapshot the 6 extra projectiles for the entire duration. We can then pair this with Nova projectiles to shoot them in a circle, along with ricochet and fork to both chain and fork on everything around us. And this, my friends, is why we're covering the entire screen in projectiles every time we cast it. With this alone, you've almost got yourself a build. The only thing we need now is some power charges, which we generate just by slapping on the Vol's Protector body armor. Funnily enough, there's a near identical one when leveling as well, the Red Flare Conduit, allowing you to use this tech already at level 33. Alright, so why Oracle? Well, Inevitable Critical is fucking busted, allowing for a massive damage bonus. We also get the Unseen Path and Entwined Realities to easily access some great nodes. But the main reason is due to all the rage nodes we can get. I'm rocking 73 right now, but if I had the right talisman and a few extra levels, then I'd push that to 90. We're then near doubling the damage bonus via Berserk, and then we have Mystical Rage, which is nearly half my damage. All you need to do is pair this with Crown of Eyes, and you can use the spell damage bonus and transform it into attack damage. Yummers. Alright, so now you're likely sold on the build and want to see what's required to play it. Spoilers, absolutely nothing. But there are definitely some gear options you want to be looking for. The only mandatory items are Crown of Eyes and Vol's Protector. They're both cheap though, so try to find a Crown of Eyes with a Spirit Corrupt, or corrupt a bunch yourself, and a good Vol's Protector. You can also slot in a Rage Rune in your helmet. We will be stacking as much Spirit as possible here, as there are a lot of persistent gems we can use, but we're also gaining 2 armor per spirit here. When mapping, I have roughly 7,000 energy shield, and the remaining of my defenses will be coming from armor, making us near immortal. For the remaining armor, we want movement speed and energy shield on our sneakers, along with the most important role of them all, 1 life regeneration per second. Because without this, you'll end up killing yourself via Berserk. For the gloves, these are kind of shit, but also kind of good. The good being the projectile skill ranks. You can craft this modifier via the new Cola's Hunt rune, allowing you to roll marksman modifiers, projectile skills being one of them. Other than that though, I'd prefer if I had a lot of energy shield and armor, physical damage modifiers along with some attack speed, or anything of that sort. When it comes to the rings, we go with the typical modifiers. A lot of flat damage, rarity, and resistances. These are fucking trash, because we do not benefit from Life Leech, and I already have a Mana Leech roll on my gloves. But instead of purchasing some good gear, I wanted to show that the build is indeed playable with dogshit gear. And speaking of dogshit, this is my amulet. The redeeming part about this is the spirit, which you definitely want. But if you roll projectile skills here, then you'd get a whole lot of damage. Other than that though, Go with your typical defenses and sort out the rest of your resistances. The only real important role is that you anoint Mystical Rage because you absolutely need it to play the build. If you can't afford to anoint it, then you need to go down here and waste a couple nodes to grab it. It's also possible to purchase an amulet that has the skill already and then craft on it. That's what I'll be doing for my next setup. To sustain energy shield, I'm using chevrons. Since Leech got massively nerfed, it's hard to sustain energy shield now, but this belt solves it, along with a life flask with instant recovery and increased charges. If you get hit, you just press your life flask and you instantly regenerate. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, we have the weapons. You want basically any dogshit weapon with a lot of attack speed in set 1. This is because we'll have to generate power charges on bosses, and the faster we do it, the faster we can nuke the living shit out of him with barrage. For the other set though, we want a truckload of damage. The stats on this are near perfect, as it has lots of DPS, attack speed, and crit chance. The only thing I'd like to replace is having more damage, and ideally either a talisman with a higher attack speed base or a magey talisman with extra rage. But we can't be picky. I'm happy with it for only paying a few divines. Alright, so that's the gear. The charms are nothing special. Just grab whatever, like freeze or stun immunity, and a Lavianga or regular mana flask if you're having mana issues. Next, let's check out the gems, shall we? You definitely want to set your other weapon, that is your non-high DPS 1, to Werewolf, so you can use Shred. It's attacking quickly, so we'll be able to generate power charges fast on bosses. To make it even faster, slot in rapid attacks. I then have Armor Break 3 to break armor, along with Rending Apex. For more physical damage and in turn more armor break, I use Brutality. And lastly, Blazing Critical to boost my damage. And again, I only use Shred on pinnacle bosses when I need power charges to start channeling. Next is Rend. This eats one of your power charges to grant you truckloads of extra damage. It's definitely worthwhile to use this every now and then. Since we can slot in prolonged duration, we don't have to do that often. I then have Heightened Charges, Magnified Area, Innovate to further boost my damage, and lastly, Rapid Attacks. Now, we already discussed the gems in Oil Barrage, but here they are again. Salvo to snapshot extra projectiles, Nova projectiles, 1 to shoot them in a circle, Ricochet for chaining, which for some reason appears to be chaining off the ground, and Fork for more AoE. Lastly, I'm using Armor Break 3. This not only boosts my damage when mapping, having all enemies without armor, but it also ensures I keep endurance charges up at all times. And why would we need that? Also, don't forget to set Oil Barrage to use only the weapon set where you have your high DPS weapon. Well, that, my friends, is due to charge regulation. Using this, you gain 20% more armor and energy shield, along with gaining crit chance from power charges. We're also gaining frenzy charges for more skill speed. More on that later. Because we first have our rage generator, Eternal Rage. To then boost our rage, we have Berserk. This is only needed in set 2 to save some spirit. Next is Pounce. I'm using this to traverse across the map, but we're also able to slot in Sniper's Mark here, and since we're playing Oracle, we always have 100% crit chance. Meaning, we always trigger the Sniper's Mark to generate a frenzy charge for us. I then use Charge Profusion for more charges, along with rapid attacks to make it faster, and cooldown recovery as to be able to use it more frequently. We then have Devour. I'm not really using this anymore, but you can use this to eat corpses for power charges. This is great when leveling, for example. We can also slot in Gorge, so if we ever run out of life flasks for our chevron spamming, then we can just eat a corpse and we'll get them back. Then I'm using Charge Profusion for extra charges and Empowered Sparks for some extra projectiles. Next we have Scavenged Plating. Since our Oil Barrage is always armor breaking, we can use this to grant us 40% multiplicative armor. And since we're mainly just breaking armor in set 2 when mapping, we only need to set it to weapon set 2. And why not both set, Well, that's because we're then able to use Savage Fury, granting us extra damage and onslaught whenever we need it. To be able to use all of these spirit gems, you need 190 spirit, which comes from your helmet, corrupt, amulet, and you can also grab it on your sneakers and as a weapon rune. If you have to ditch some spirit gems, then I ditch Savage Fury and Scavenged Plating, and the most important ones are definitely Berserk and Eternal Rage. Great job, friends. Gems complete. Next up is the passive tree. Let's fly on over and check it out, shall we? Starting us off, we're getting the double benefit from all of these nodes as we're using Crown of Eyes. Here we find some strong rage nodes along with damage nodes. I'll be grabbing this one as I've obtained my next level, and they're only needed in the high damage weapon set. For jewels, I'm mainly just going for high defense ones as I'm already stonking pretty hard. Next, I'm grabbing the power charge nodes, granting us a lot of energy shield as we're consuming power charges, which we do constantly. For set 1, I'm mainly just grabbing faster recharge nodes. You could also grab energy shield, armor, or whatever you want there. It doesn't fucking matter as we're barely in set 1. Either way, head on up here, grab this energy shield cluster and a heroic tragedy timeless jewel. This is where a lot of my energy shield comes from. Because we have quite a few travel nodes, we're taking all the strength we can find and then convert it into energy shield here. To do this, all you need to do is find a heroic tragedy jewel with the line Varana on it. As long as it's deeds by the line of Varana, you're good. Alright? Next, we head on up here to grab Chaos Inoculation, ensuring we are immune to chaos, and it also makes it way easier to use the Berserk gem. As to not get stunned and frozen, we also have Shimmering Mirage and a basement here. A great thing about the Wyvern is also that it provides a lot of stun threshold by itself, ensuring we don't get stunned when channeling. Next, head on up here to grab this magnificent crit cluster, any good against the Darkness Jewel, and all of these nodes to boost it. Any good rare time lost would also be good here, seeing as how many nodes we're able to grab. Yummers. Lastly, we chuck a UE, fuck off to bumfuck nowhere, and start grabbing all of these defensive armor and energy shield nodes. Iron Slippers in particular is fantastic, granting double the armor from your sneakers as long as you're using energy shield. We also have a good crit cluster here, which is where I'll be slotting in some additional nodes later on, a couple of massive rage nodes, yet another crit cluster, and our final jewel. To maximize your defenses, slot in a metamorphosis jewel here with a medium to small ring. This is because we can then grab these 3 nodes, projectile bulwark for extra armor and even more armor against projectiles. Prism Guard for armor applies to elemental damage, and lastly, Vengeful Fury, which grants armor the more rage we have. And as we're rage stacking, this becomes one hell of a node. And with that, we're finally done with this shit. Let's check out how to play the build, and then I'll be on my way. When mapping, it's incredibly easy. All you need to do is to gain power charges when you spawn into the map. After that, it's going to sort itself out. So to do it, just jump on top of a few enemies and hit them with your shred. After that, you should have some power charges. Next, you just move around in the map, use Pounce on top of enemies to generate frenzy charges and for mobility, and then press your oil barrage. If you ever need more damage, then you just press your Rend and Savage Fury and you'll double your damage. Simple as that. When it comes to bossing, the only part where we actually need to use our brain is when we start off the fight. That's because we, again, need to generate a few power charges before we can hold down the oil barrage button. So pounce on top of the boss and hit him with shred until you've got a few. Then, all you need to do is hold down the oil barrage button and he should die. If you want more damage, then you can use Rend and Savage Fury before you hold it down, and you'll again double your damage just like that. And now, my beautiful viewer, I'm done. Make sure to drop a sub, and I'll see you in the next one.